I'm an admissions counselor at the University of New Hampshire. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. I have two things that I'd like to talk about this afternoon. One, why college was so important to me. And two, how to navigate the application process, getting into the colleges of your choice. So I'd like to start with my family, and that's that family portrait. By the way, as you go through this series with me, Melissa already told you that I'm an artist. And so for the last 30 years, I've painted my family story. And so you'll get the opportunity to see some of the paintings I have created in my portfolio. So born to an extraordinary family. But unfortunately, the thing that I've learned by being brought up in this family, where there is no education, the people shall perish. I've also learned that education will give you freedom and opportunity in this country like nothing else, except for a higher power. You're on an extraordinary journey. You are on an extraordinary journey. And you bring value to this universe. Because when I think about talking to each and every one of you, I'm talking to future doctors and lawyers and teachers and counselors and chiefs of police officers, whatever it is. That is the journey that you're on. Becoming the best you so that you are the best for the universe. It's more than getting up in the morning and going off to school. It's you getting up in the morning, listening to these wonderful teachers and becoming the best you so that you are the best for the world. That's what I've learned. So I was brought up in this extraordinary family, no education. But education, when I did finally get it, it gave me freedom and opportunity. So I had my dad one day. I live in Portsmouth. My father visited me from New York. And when he was there, I realized, sorry, pause it, Melissa. My father visited me at my home in Portsmouth many years ago. And I realized that I don't really know my dad. I'm trying to figure him out. So I took a recorder and I put a recorder in front of my father. And I said to my dad, tell me your story. My dad proceeded to tell me his story. And as he began to tell me the story, the thing that I remembered the most, he's a sixth grader, big guy, working the field with his father. And all of a sudden he turned and he looked at his dad and he watched his dad, eyes bulging and trying to pull open his shirt, father lie down in that field. And my father, sixth grader, kneeled down with his father. And he told his father, don't leave me. Don't leave me, Dad. And his father died of a massive heart attack. My father quit school in the sixth grade to help his mother support the four younger siblings. All righty. So my father told me his story, and like my father, my mother was in the same predicament. My mother worked the fields every day with her father, but her father was an entrepreneur. Her father decided that $900 a year to $1,000 a year was not.
Thanks, Zach.
Are we all right? Did I go on?
Yeah, go on. There's just some background noise from someone. I'm going through and muting some people. I'm not going to mute everybody at once this time.
So my father, and my mother's father, was an entrepreneur, and he realized that $900 a year was not going to feed his family. That's all they made. This is back in the 60s as migrant workers and sharecroppers. But she got up every morning with her parents and she worked the fields, sunrise to sunset. Don't forget, they're the first in the field because back then it was dusting, pesticide, dust blown over all of the crops. First in the fields with the pesticide, there's snakes and hot sun and bees. But they were there to make an income. That's the lack of education. That is the kind of work they did. But her father grew crops on the side. And the crops that he grew on the side, he went to the marketplace every Saturday and Sunday to share his crops, to sell, share his crops. Tradition would tell you that Grandpa Ole would come back, knock on the front door. Mom would run to the door because Grandpa Ole had made enough money to buy her a Tootsie Roll lollipop. This particular day, Mom ran to the door and her father wasn't there. Grandpa Ole had died of pneumonia at that marketplace. And that young man who drove him down to the marketplace come to the door, knock on the door, and looked that little 8th grade girl in the eyes and said, "Your father's just passed away." Now, years have gone by. They got up every morning, worked the field. Dads weren't in the field with them. They're working sunrise to sunset. The more harvests and the more crops you can put into that basket, the more money you would make. And what that meant was more money you can make. And in that, parents met each other's. They hadn't noticed each other's before. They met each other's in that Presbyterian church, fell in love with each other's, got married, and what happened? They had little Richard. My mom would always whisper in my ear, "Son, you're born to win. In order to win, you've got to plan to win. You've got to prepare to win. And don't ever, ever expect not to win. Don't allow anybody's opinion of you, son, to become your reality. Because don't forget, in the Deep South, for African Americans in the 50s and the 60s, wasn't easy. So life goes on, and Mom kept telling me things that empowered me. And then I got of age, and now I was expected to be in the field alongside them. The more hands you had in the field to fill the baskets, the greater the amount of money you were going to make. And there are a lot of discussion about the great African American migration. And some of you may have experienced this. Some of you may have immigrated to the country. We were migrating from the Deep South, going to a better way. And we sat on the porch and we talked many days and months about the Great Migration, our college cousins and relatives talking about leaving the Deep South, going to the big cities north and going to Chicago and Watts in California. And my parents decided we're going to go to New York. We're going to go to New York because relatives are telling us there are better jobs, they're better living up there. My parents thought it was better. We got in that green 1954 Ford and headed up 95 North. And all of a sudden, we arrived in New York City. I got out of that car and I said to Mom and I said to Grandma, you told me you were bringing me someplace better. My Mom and Grandma would always look at me and they would say, "Son, better only if you make it better." And so I say that to you as well, students. If you're struggling with things in your life, better only if you make it better. You have full control over this. So as we live in this poverty because of the lack of education, there are rats, roaches, heroin addicts. And mom and dad kept telling me it was better. Better for them because now they didn't have to work that field. They're now working, cleaning hotels, and dad is a custodian at McGraw-Hill, and grandma and mom are cleaning the hotel at Mayflower Hotel. And so it was better for them. But for us, we lived among rat, roaches, and heroin addicts. My sister one night screamed to the top of her lung, 13 years old, a cockroach had embedded itself in her ear. And my parents kept telling us, better only if you make it better. Better only if you make it better. My brother and I would literally go to sleep in the same room and go to bed at nights. And at nights you would hear the rats running through the walls, cockroaches all over everything, and turn a light out and switch the light back on, and a cockroach in the kitchen, and the whole countertops are full with cockroaches. But these rats that ran through the walls every night, my brother and I would look at each other and sort of hug each other as we lied in that bed, because they'll run across your floor. And these rats were the size of squirrels, mangy sewer rats. My brother and I decided we're going to go to Central Park using our Southern skills, creating bow and arrows, and we are going to wage war on these 4 squirrel-sized sewer rats. We got back home that evening. We'd already showered up. We are ready to wage war. In the bathroom, we live in a long railroad flat apartment, master bedroom on one side, living room on one side. Down that whole hallway were rooms, either bathrooms or bedrooms. Mom always kept the light on in the bathroom simply because the rats would come out of the bathroom. So you have this heating pipe that goes from apartment to apartment, and that metal disc was not on the floor around the pipe. The rats would come from the floorboard and into the apartment. And because we didn't have that, that's the way they come in. Mom would leave the light on to make sure that the rats would think that someone was in the bathroom, or we walked in there and they won't be there, and clearly could see that. My brother and I already washed up, already had our meals, and now we're waiting in the living room, waiting for the rats to come out of that bathroom. The first rat out of that beam of light charged out of that bathroom. My little brother jumped to the couch, pulled back on the bow and arrow, released the arrow. These rats were athletics. They literally jumped over that arrow and back into the bathroom. Now they're running in and out of that bathroom. My brother and I are pulling back on the bow, releasing the arrows, pulling back on the bow, releasing the arrows, and missing every one of them. Now all of our arrows are on the other side of the enemy line, and we are too afraid to go over there to get it. So we retreated to rethink our military strategy over a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You could possibly see I'm the neat guy of this story. I wasn't going to the bathroom to wash up. I was going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to go in the kitchen, at the kitchen sink, swish out my mouth, rinse my hands off. And my little brother Floyd, 6 years old, I don't know what he was thinking. He crawled into bed with peanut butter and jelly all over him. Not good. Next morning, we woke up. I don't know to this day whether one rat was in bed with us, or all 4 of those rats were in bed with us. But every place that little boy left peanut butter and jelly, the rats chewed on him. I woke up the next morning and I said, the only reason why we're in this predicament, because of the lack of education. It is education that will give you freedom and opportunity. Where there is no education, you can't afford to buy washers and dryers. Where there is no education, people do strange things with drugs and alcohol. My mother and father kept telling us, stay away from these folks. Do not do this. I did not bring you here for this. I brought you here for a better way of life. Do not take drugs and alcohol. It will rob you, sip you, and destroy you. Stay away from it. It'll take your dreams away. And where there is no education, son, you'll have to be an entrepreneur. You'll have to figure this out. And ladies and gentlemen, if you think all Harlem was like that, you don't know your Harlem history. Congressman Adam Clayton Powers, and one of the best preachers in the country at the time. James Baldwin, one of America's greatest writers. Percy Sutton, Congressman Percy Sutton. First female African American, first millionaire in the country was Madam C.J. Walker. And my work comes after Jacob Lawrence. I admire this man. And last but not least, Langston Hughes, great American poet and author. All lived on the west side of Harlem, where the educated folks lived. We lived on the east side of Harlem, the other side of the track, all because of the lack of education. It is education that will give you freedom and opportunity in this country like nothing else, except for a God. Years have gone by, and I was fortunate to have an extraordinary mentor. Now, this is middle school. Today, you go to high school in ninth grade. This is middle school. I'm in my ninth grade class. And you guys have some extraordinary mentors working alongside you. All of these folks who made this day possible are some extraordinary mentors, and your angels and your teachers back in your classrooms and your administrators who are overseeing the whole educational system in your community. They're all your angels. They know that you are bringing value to this nation. And the only way they're going to help you do that is you going in there every day, and do not go to school. Go into that building every day looking at it as your full-time job. Do not go to school. Get up in the morning and go to work. Outwork your parents, so that one day you'll become extraordinary scientists and engineers and doctors and lawyers and chiefs of police department, whatever the work is, whatever dancers, artists, whatever the journey is, you were sent here for a purpose. I can tell you that. I'm on the upper right-hand side of that classroom, and my angel was Mrs. Miriam H. Powers, that teacher sitting there. She was my art teacher and my homeroom teacher. She saw something in me I could not see in myself. She says, Richard, before I leave the face of this earth, you're going to be an extraordinary artist. That woman would literally take me out of my community on the weekends, take me into her community, Westchester, New York. I mean, extraordinary wealth. Then she would wake me up on a Saturday morning, and she would take me into downtown Manhattan to the Museum of Modern Art, the Cooper Hewitt, the Whitney, the Guggenheim, you name it, sit me down and talk to me about lines and shapes and forms and color. She shared her life with me. And here it is, we're in the middle of a civil rights movement. I'm a little boy of color, and she's a majority woman. She had no right participating with me, but she looked beyond my color. And she saw greatness in me. She saw promises in me. Now, I managed, ladies and gentlemen, to get through that, but not easily. She made sure that I got into the best high school in New York City for the arts. When you're talking to your mentors, tell them the truth. Don't lie to them. They ask you, how are you doing? Tell them you're doing well. But know that for sure you are. I didn't. I didn't understand the college application process. Really didn't. Everyone told me to go to college, but I didn't have the knowledge on exactly how to do it. And we're going to talk about that. I messed up big time in high school. I don't even want to go back to look at my high school transcript. I messed up so badly. But when I returned from the military after doing 4 years, she met me at the airport and asked me, was I ready to finish my education? Messed up so badly, I had to go to community college for 2 semesters. She says, in order to be considered a real artist in this country, you need a BFA, means you got to take more courses, and you need an MFA, and you have to take more courses in college. I was ready. I became an academic warrior because I knew it was education that was going to give me freedom and opportunity in this country. I was not going to bring my kids up in that community in which I was brought up in. My parents were extraordinary, but I was not going to do that. By the way, my mother graduated from college before I did. My father got his GED and became a supervisor in the largest post office in New York City. So education, in essence, really set them free as well. I didn't understand the process back there, and that's why I loved giving this talk, especially for the freshmen who are sitting in this audience. To understand the application process, you must understand the college application process. You must understand ninth grade is one of the most important year on your academic journey. So keep that in mind. The most important. It sets the tone for what you're going to do for the next 3 years. If you didn't do well, then you're going to struggle building up that academic trend. I told you that story because I don't want you to repeat it what I did. I succeeded. I don't know whether or not any of you are close to Manchester, but in the Manchester Museum, at the Currier Museum, I just had an art exhibition there, and you can see it on WMUR. Go and look up Richard Haynes, WMUR, or New Hampshire artist Richard Haynes. 11 paintings. Currier Museum bought the whole series of painting for $101,000. Just happened. From that dusty field, that rat, roach, herod affected apartment to who I am today. Education gave me freedom and opportunity, and it's awaiting you. Now, Melissa, do you want me to take a break at this point so you can get others to register, or should I go forward?
I will, I'll put the sign-in sheet in the chat once again. So in case people jumped in a little bit later and didn't get to sign in, I just copied it into the chat. So just click on that link if you didn't get to sign in yet, and go ahead and sign in real quick. Okay, you can continue, Richard.
Very good. Now, here goes a very important part of this conversation. You have full control over the academic process. When I get through to having this discussion with you right now, I am going to read until 10, 11 o'clock tonight, either accepting, holding, or denying students. And guess what? I have no power over that at all. You have full control over that process. You have full control over whether or not you get into UNH or the colleges of your choice. You have full control. We're going to talk about what that control looks like. So let's begin. If someone, here goes a day in the life of your application, if someone would like to unmute their mic and tell me what they think the most important circle on this chart is. Anyone? Can anyone tell me? Shout it out.
Transcript.
Transcript. Wow, who's that brilliant person? That was absolutely correct. Have you heard this presentation before? No? Hello?
Sorry, no, I haven't, but
You realize.
I've heard like how most colleges look at applications before.
Very good. Alrighty, so the transcript is by far the most important thing in this process. Alrighty, and we'll talk about some of these as we move forward. So here goes an application, the process, what it looks like. So now for the seniors who are out there, you have already sent in your letters of recommendation from teachers and guidance counselors. You've sent in the common application. Your transcripts are coming together. The process department is going to put all of them together. And when it becomes all come together, you'll get a little note that says that your application is completed. And that's when it comes into my queue. In that queue, I get the summary report. I get to know who you are, upper left hand, upper right hand. I get to know what major you want, what school you want to study it. I get to know your GPA. That's why that transcript is so important, your GPA. Then I'm going to look at your SAT score, ACT score, only if you decide I want to send it in. Otherwise, this year, last year, and this year, we're test optional, and I believe next year will be the same, and we may move forward in going in this direction. Now, the other thing we're going to look at is how many math, science, foreign language, social science, and English classes you have taken. My thing is, take 4, 4, 4, 4 of all of those courses. I know some schools would say, no, you don't need to do 4 years of social sciences. I say do it. It makes you a far better, more competitive student. So do it. Push your boundaries. Go above and beyond. Then we have the letter section down there. That's stamped. I stamp it with the letter stating the fact that you've been admitted and you are getting lots of money. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that there's a comment section. Everything that the guidance counselors and teachers are saying about you, I'm going to pull out those comments and scribe it in that box. Now I have 2 monitors sitting on my desk. I'm going to take that information, put it on the left monitor. Now I'm going to discover who you are. I'm going to look at your cultural demographic, what language you speak at home. Are you a US citizen? I'm going to look at whether you need an application fee waiver. Don't hesitate to ask for it if you do need it. I'm going to discover something about your parents, mom and dad, sisters and brothers. Are you the first to go off to college? What are your parents doing? This is me holistically getting to know who you are. Now, for seniors, no senioritis, no senioritis. And I'm hoping that you have lots of core courses in that senior year, that you have gone above and beyond, and this senior year is not a time to relax. The senior year is a time to literally push the boundaries once more again. And keep your foot on the academic accelerator, because we're going to get your final transcript if you decide to go to UNH or whatever college you're going to go to. They're going to ask for your final transcript. And freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, I understand how difficult it is for you now. This is an environment of education that no one has ever experienced. But you know what? Keep your foot on the academic accelerator. I know it's hard, but keep academically focused. Test scores, we're not going to use them, so we don't need to talk about them any further. Extracurricular activities, that's the resume building. Don't ever put your resume building up against your academic skills. It's not going to work. You're not coming here to be social butterflies, you're coming here to be academic stars. But Mr. Haynes, I was told that resumes are important. I'll tell you when it's important. It's important, first of all, when you balance your academics and your resumes together. You could be an athletic star. You can be a captain of a team or cheerleader team or class president, whatever. But it must be balanced with your GPA. And the moment your extracurricular activity skills are cutting in on your academics, cut back on the extracurricular activities and work on the academics. Far more important. But I was told that it is important. I'll tell you when it's important. If you're in the top 10% of your class, and you may have just missed it by maybe a point of getting that big scholarship, I am going to advocate for you. I'm going to go and look at your resume, and I'm going to list all the fabulous things you have done. Because you are in the top 10% means that academically you have done well with building a resume and building academics. That's when it works for you. Otherwise, don't ever allow it to cut in on your transcript. Writing. You're going to get the opportunity to give us an essay. And the quality of your essay is based on the quality of your writing skills. Because if you are gone academically down or not doing well, and then I look at your writing skills and you're not writing appropriately, I can't help but to say, oh, denied, not ready for this. All right? In college, you would read, comprehend, think, and write your way through college. That's what you're going to do. And that's how important writing is. I don't care whether you're a dance student, engineering student, science, whatever it is. You would read, comprehend, think, and write your way through school. Very important. Disciplinary action. I know that my trio students are the best in the world. So I'm not even going to talk about disciplinary action because I know you're all angels, but be mindful of what you do on social media. Seniors, be very careful. Be very careful of the kinds of comments you're putting on social media. Your friends are turning you in. This year, we had at least 7 students we took our admissions back from simply because of the kinds of things they were posting in social media. So be careful. Seniors, first choice major, second choice major. Reach for the stars when you're telling me first and second choice major. Tell me exactly what you want. Don't try to trick us. Tell us exactly what you want. And if we thought that you were not academically prepared for that, we'll give you a second choice major, whatever that is. But tell us your first choice, what you truly believe, what you want to accomplish. Let us a recommendation. Look at what the Common Application asks guidance counselors or counselors to write about first. Academic achievement. How good are they academically? Maturity, motivation. Are they a motivated student? Self-confident. How do they react in difficult times? Then the list grows on. So pull out a camera, take a picture of that so you can begin to walk these words, because these are the kinds of words that teachers and counselors are going to write about. Use this vocabulary list to write about you.
You guys do that, sure.
Now, let's look at this transcript. I have 4 transcripts that I'd like to show you. And these students heard this message in the 8th grade. Let's look at these.
You can definitely make that.
So we know that these are the 5 core courses that we want you to really focus on. And we also want you to focus on college prep, honors, and
I'm gonna go.
AP courses only because you're going to do well in those AP courses. Because if you think that you can do an AP course and get a C and it doesn't affect you, yes, it does. I don't see AP, I see a C. So be mindful. Take AP courses only because you're going to do well. Could you all mute your mic, please? Thank you.
We'll wait for them.
So now what we have
I'll wait for you, Ben.
is the transcript. Our first transcript, this is a young lady, and this school comes out of Massachusetts. This young lady is literally writes her essay about saying, I have never met my father, never looked him in the eyes, never held in his arms. I come from a single parent household. My mother works 2 jobs. She cleans hotel by day and work in a 24-hour bodega by night. The only time I get to see her is in the morning when I'm going off to school and she's coming in from her second job for a quick shower and a power nap. She comes in one morning, eyes full of tears. I said, Mom, what's wrong? She said, Sweetie, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. She said to her mother, Mom, do you remember what Mr. Haynes said, that it's education that will give you freedom and opportunity in this country, Mom? And I said, I must never go to school ever and ever again. That I must get up in the morning when I enter that school building, I must go to work. I said, Mom, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go to work, Mom, so that you will never ever have to work again. I'm going to become a pediatric brain surgeon, Mom. Did she go to work or what? Jill came here, left here, went to Johns Hopkins, looking exactly the same way, leaving UNH. Full ride at Johns Hopkins Medical School. She's now a pediatric brain surgeon in Maryland. Her mother, Martha, lives there, not working at all. Education gave this family freedom and opportunities. Here goes another student, heard exactly the same message, but started off wonderfully. And all of a sudden, as I said, no junioritis, no senioritis, going downward. But when you're going downward, what you're doing is throwing money out of the window. Of course, you can still get into a solid B plus school, but I want you guys not to have to pay that full ride. Work for it, earn the income for those scholarships. But the only way you're going to do it is having better grades. So by putting all these B's in junior and senior year, you are literally throwing money out the window. You still get in, top 30%. First person got $10,000 a year. This person only got $4,000 a year. Another student, typical American student, didn't understand the importance of ninth grade. Now, what we look for then is an upward swing. And so now the upward swing is beginning to happen. But remember what I said, ninth grade is the most important. And what it's going to do is set the tone for what happens in the next 3 years. And notice, still a little bit weaker in the ninth grade, but then pulls it up. And with a stern phone call, wow, can do wonderfully. Still get in, but get no money. Unfortunate. I didn't have no control over it. Student had full control over that. Next student. Done well academically. That looks wonderful. And all of a sudden, what in the world is going on? That's the admissions counselor thinking. What's going on? This is your opportunity to write that essay to explain what is happening. Now, if you don't write to tell me what's going on, guess what? I have no other choice because I know that this student wouldn't be successful here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the deny button. But if you explain to me what happened, what's causing this, I don't have to hit that deny button. So let's change the story. This student does tell me what's going on. Sophomore year, mom has a possible brain tumor. We don't know yet. Between sophomore and junior year, yes, mom does have a brain tumor. Mom is now doing chemotherapy. The only reason why they're doing chemotherapy is because, one, mom and dad didn't have good job, didn't have good health insurance, but dad was smart. He bought a home when he was young. Now he refinanced the home, but he didn't do a good job in refinancing the home. So what happened? Dad loses the home and dad is bankrupt. He divorces the wife, leaves the wife and the daughter all alone. Mom calls Gail into her bedroom in the hospital and said to her, "Do you remember, Gail, what Mr. Haynes said about education? That it is education that's going to give you freedom and opportunity. Sweetie, I need you to get up and go to work because you are born to win. But in order to win, sweetie, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and don't ever expect not to win. Let nobody's opinion of you, sweetie, to become your reality. And every time, sweetie, you get knocked down, you must get up." Her mother passed away first semester, senior year. But look at what this young lady did. She got back up. She believed in herself, believing that she was born to win. She wanted to be a social worker to make sure that no child under her watch would ever have to deal with what she dealt with all alone. Came to UNH, graduated with a social work degree, went to University of Mississippi, heard that there was another great program down there, got her master's degree, and she's now working in Washington, D.C., very difficult city. And her desire was, one, becoming the best her, so that she was going to be the best for the universe. That is the power of education. Education will give you freedom and opportunity. And no one has control over this except for you. You have full control. No admissions counselors have control over it. As long as you have gone onto their website and look at exactly what they need to get into their universities and what does it take to get the highest amount of money from them, all of that is published on their website. Go and get that information so that you will know the rules of engagement and win the game. But I can tell you for sure that it is truly education that will give you freedom and opportunity in this country like nothing else except for a divine being. Go for it. You can do this. It is yours. I wish you all the best. Stay focused. Stay focused and succeed. Thank you all very much. We can open up for some Q&A if anyone have questions at this time.
Richard, I do see a question in the chat from Riley saying, if I take an AP course and do well in it, but then do poorly on the AP exam, does that negatively affect me?
Absolutely not. The only way it's going to affect you, if you wanted to get college credit for that exam, you're not going to be able to get college credit for that exam. And I think it's all according to what course you take. And the exams where you can get credit is 3, 4, or 5. So no, that does not affect you. Just do well in the AP course. That's all we care about.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
What would you
Any other-
say if we like decided to change our major, like in college, if we decided that we felt that the major that we selected was not the correct choice?
Happens all the time. Students will change their major 2 to 3 times. One year, young lady who works in this office, changed her major 4 times, wind up becoming a social work major and literally graduated on time. So with good counseling and letting people know as soon as possible, it's easy to do. And, I said to a young lady earlier that I wish that everyone would come in undeclared until I figure out what is it that I'd like to do. Because you could take courses in all of these schools till you figured it out. So, but no problem. You can easily change those majors. Now, I would say if you don't come in undeclared, if you're looking to be a nursing student, occupational therapy student, or trying to get into the Paul School of Business and Economics, it's hard, not unless you're going to come here and not act like a freshman, get good grades so that you can transfer into Paul School. But if you think possibly it's a business major, I'd much rather, from a high school perspective, get into the Paul School of Business and Economics than walk away. All the other schools are, because Paul, they only bring in 600 students and they keep it very small and tight. But all the other schools are wide open as long as you have a good GPA, you can transfer in.
I see another question in the chat, Richard. If you started off high school not very strong, but your grades keep going up through high school, are you more likely to be selected?
You bet, 100%. Remember we talked about that upward swing. The student messed up in the 9th grade. Then slowly you see sophomore year, then before you realize it, junior and senior year, it's going to become very good. Now in senior year, remember what I said, senior year then, if you messed up in the 9th grade, senior year is not a time to relax, to have senioritis. Senior year, you should definitely put those 5 core courses back on your transcript and put them up front, first semester, rather than trying to put most of them in the back, second semester. Give it to the admissions counselor first semester so that when they look at your transcript, they can go, wow, look at this. Nice senior year program of study. Already, so that's really important. And then by junior year, you begin to, and that's why counselor says junior year is the most important year. Junior year is the most important year because you have messed up 9th and 10th grade. Junior year is the year you're supposed to really show an admissions counselor, sorry, but I can do the work.
I have another question from AJ. Does doing sports and receiving awards along with your good grades help?
Of course, if you remember what we said, as long as you have good grades, I mean that top 10, putting you in the top 10, top 15%. And if I decided I want to move you out of top 15% and put you in the top 10%, I'm going to see that, yes, the GPA is in the top 10%, but did the student do enough in the community to get to the top 10%? So I'm going to look at your GPA. It's going to be the controlling factor. And then I look at all the wonderful things you've done because you've managed to do both of them in order to get to that top 10%. So yes, but once more again, do not put your academics up against your extracurricular activity skills. Extracurricular activity skills GPA comes first.
Yes,
Good
I have
question.
another question. What would you say to the people who've taken all of their like science classes or like their English classes like before, like in junior and sophomore year? Because that's what I did. I took all the required classes that I could, and I got them all done sophomore and junior year. So what would you say to that? Whereas compared to like senior year, where I don't really have any
Good,
classes I can take.
good, good. As long as, so for example, you've already taken calculus?
I'm currently taking calculus, but I took chemistry, physics, all of them before I was supposed to. So I don't have any classes like in terms of sciences that I can take like senior year. Like I only have one.
You only have one, so you do have a science senior year though, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so, and that's all right. So normally you could literally at some schools, you can take 5 science courses by going to AP courses, right? That's where you begin to do. So if you took physics, then you took chem, and then junior year biology. Now you could have done AP biology senior year, AP chem senior year, or something of that nature. Same thing with calculus. If I've done calculus already up to junior year, you could go to BC calculus or AB calculus or BC calculus, because especially if you're going to go into the engineering school, you want as much math as you can possibly get underneath your belt.
Yes, I took what I mean. I think you're confused. I took
Oh,
all of my AP like sciences.
you
Like
took all the AP sciences.
yeah, I took them sophomore and junior year. Like
Okay,
AP
so
Chem, AP Physics 1 and 2. I did all of that. The only AP class I have left is AP Calculus.
so tell me what your senior year transcript looks like.
It's going to be AP Calculus, Computer Engineering, and then Architecture, which is a class that I can do half is a dual enroll class, so it's half college and half high school. And I have other classes, but they're later in the semester.
What are the other classes?
I have college composition and I have Chem of Life that I have to, that's later in the semester. I can't do that right
Any
now.
history course or any of those?
What was it?
You took a history course or social studies course like sociology, psychology?
I took those last year.
Wow, so you and you are a solid A student? Oh, okay, good. Because that's what's going to be the saving grace. We're going to look at it, say, wow, solid A students, and he has literally exhausted the academic integrity at this school. Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Brother Haynes. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. My question is I have twin girls. They're freshmen, and they are taking right now. I think it's 11 credits, either 10 or 11 credits, so that they can finish in about 2.5 years. Would you suggest that they stay in school for the full 4 years, or get all their credits now and move on to college as soon as possible?
No. If you have done what the young man just now said if you've exhausted the academic integrity at the school, then I would say yes. But a lot of colleges don't take, we don't encourage early graduation.
Why?
Simply because academically and socially, we know that you may not be prepared to get into that college classroom. And we want you to also, if you're going to graduate early, as the young man prior to, he basically said, I've done all of the courses that I could possibly have done, even the AP courses, to say that I've really done well. And so we want to make sure that these students, when they arrive, that one, they're mature enough for this environment, and two, they have literally built an academic foundation that is no way in the world they're going to fail.
Okay.
So I
Right
say,
now, all but their math class is honors or enriched. So they
Yeah.
are taking higher level classes.
yeah, but I'm going to say a student, graduating early should have at least a 16 to 17 program of study. Program of study, we're talking about math, science, foreign language, social science, and English. So give me 17 of those. And the English doesn't count, so you don't get the 4. That's going to be math, science, foreign language, social science. So if I'm going to be a history teacher or I'm going to be social work, then I want to make sure that in this area, I take extra, maybe sociology, psychology, economics to get to that 17 program of study. And I want to see that they have taken honors and some AP courses and have done well in them. I want to make sure that when they arrive, that they can truly win at this. So it's not beating on them. I just want to make sure that you can win at this. My granddaughter, Stefan's daughter, she wanted to graduate early, and I said, no, you don't. And she's good. I said, no, you can't. Now, if they graduate early and maybe want to go on and take some college courses, no more than 16, not even, but no more than maybe 14 or 15, doing something like that at a community college, then we could say dual enrollment. If they want to do that, it's a possibility. But I'm going to let Melissa and those guys make those kinds of suggestions. You've got great mentors here. Listen to them.
Can I add another question to that question?
Please.
So what if they are student athletes and their reason for wanting to get to college sooner is their eligibility and being able to play at the college level?
No, the coaches will totally understand that that it's all right for them to graduate 4 years and still, because the coach is searching them, coaches definitely going to wait for them.
Okay.
So don't even worry about that. Just tell them to keep up the good athletic stuff. They keep up the good academics, because now you're talking 2 scholarship. You're talking athletic scholarship and you're talking your academic scholarship.
Okay.
Coaches are waiting for them. If they're that